Hello. So this is going to be my sort of tutorial on my Boomerang Skip setup. So if you don't know what Boomerang Skip is, it's basically these 4 switches in Gan's tower. You're meant to use the boomerang to hit them in a specific order, so this one, this one, this one, and this one. And that spawns the dark portal to get back to Forsaken Fortress. But I don't have the boomerang right now, so a bit of a problem. But if you use the bow, then you can shoot it if you have good aiming. So just a couple of things that I want to make sure you're aware of that'll be important to the setup. So first of all, there's this weird thing in this game where basically when you see Link, you're actually seeing him like 1 frame in the past. So if I jump in this water, I'm going to buffer 1 frame holding up. And you see Link didn't actually change direction. But now when I unpause, I'm not going to hold anything, and he turns around. So your inputs are sort of delayed by 1 frame. So you want to keep that in mind because that also applies when you're using the bow. So if I buffer left, you see he doesn't move, and now he moves. So you just want to keep that in mind for like when you're unpausing, you need to remember that he actually moves for 1 more frame. So that's something to keep in mind. And then you want to try and get used to the bow shooting animation frames. So like, oh, bad at pause buffering. Still bad at pause buffering. So like these frames here, you want to get used to like which one Link shoots on. You can actually hear when he shoots if you listen. So the one after this one he should shoot. There you go, you heard it. So you just want to get used to the frames. If you listen for when he shoots, you don't really need to know, but it's good to just be aware of when he's going to shoot. So like now I know he's going to shoot on the next frame. And there you go. So the actual setup, you want to make sure that when you enter this door, you enter on the left side, because where you enter this door will put you on a different position, like on the other side of the door. So just stand in this left corner and go through the door. And then the setup, I have it written on the left side of the screen if you want to read it. So basically we're going to aim for the very left edge of this switch here, so like that. And then you're going to just pause and buffer 1 frame, and then you want to buffer 2 frames holding down. Yep, so that was 2 frames. It looked like he only moved for 1 frame, but that was because of the 1 frame delay. So the first frame I paused, or the first frame I buffered, you didn't actually see Link move, but then the second one he did. So that was 2 frames. And then you want to buffer left, and the 4 switches, they're on a sort of shelf thing. It's kind of hard to describe, but the first frame you see that shelf is when you want to use the bow to shoot. So you want to try and practice getting good at like unpausing and pressing the bow on the frame after you unpause. If you're like 1 or 2 frames late, it doesn't really matter. You usually have like 1 or 2 frames of leniency between the switches, so it doesn't matter if you're not completely frame perfect. But you want to try and get that frame, so I'm going to buffer left. And then you see on the left side of the screen, you can't really see it when it's paused, but you could see the shelf that the switch is on. So now I'm going to unpause and use the bow on this frame. And then you heard the bow shoot. It looks like I'm not aiming at the switch right now, but again, because of the 1 frame delay, I am actually aiming at it. So if I hold right now, you see that I hit the switch. So now you want to hold right and get to the next shelf on the very far right side. So there it is, shoot on that frame. And now I want to buffer 2 frames holding up. And then it's left, and once again, buffer till you see the shelf, and then shoot. Okay, that didn't work. That should have worked, but I guess because I must have buffered some extra frames somewhere. But that's the setup. there you go. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure why that first one didn't work, but I showed you how to do it pretty much. So just a few things to keep in mind is, again, try and get used to shooting the bow on like the first frame after the unpause. Obviously you can equip the bow to whatever button you want. I just have it on Z because that happens to be my equips in all dungeons at this point. So yeah, these are the shelves that I was talking about. And then just a few things to keep in mind is that if, for example, you buffered too many frames, so say I buffered to this frame by accident, this is one frame too far, that's fine, because if you learn like which frames you want to pause on, as in which frames you want to shoot the bow. So right now I'm paused on the frame where I want to shoot the bow, but I haven't shot the bow yet because I was one frame late. If you just buffer neutral frames, it's fine. So if I buffer one neutral frame, he should shoot on the next frame. And now I can just continue with the setup and go right. And if I'm one frame late again, like that. Okay, I had to buffer one left frame there, because I think I was 2 frames late, so I had enough time to go too far right and then back left. Now if I go 2 down and left, and again that's late. And that still worked. So you see how I had to do quite a lot of little adjustments to fix myself. But it really isn't that precise. You can have like a couple frames of leniency between them, as I said. So that still worked, even though on pretty much every single switch I wasted 1 or 2 frames. So that's the setup pretty much. So yeah, thanks for watching.